Are you guys ready yet?
Yeah. We always have so many arguments over when to start filming.
I don't think there's a we, it's just like you're never ready.
I'm ready.
All right, so today I am...
There we go.
This is a pain in the ass. Okay, so today I am reviewing the Allied Able gravel bike. I've had this bike for a year. I put the most miles on this bike. I think Allied came out with it in like 2019. They haven't redesigned it since with, I don't think any plans in the work as of, right?
Not that we've heard about, yeah.
Plans to redesign the bike.
Well, they
Jesse,
probably do, we just don't know.
They have no public plans. In a bit, Jesse will talk about the specs, geometry, all that stuff. One of the main things I look for with gravel bikes is tire clearance. It kind of, for me, stems from racing Mid-South in 2019. It was a super muddy year.
It was awesome.
For Jesse, it was great. For me, not so much. There was just no room in between my tires and the frame for any sort of mud or literally anything.
It ruined your 2018 aluminum Diverge. It ruined the bike.
Yeah, totally ruined that bike. Long story short, ever since then, I just have it in my head that I need bigger tire clearance. Like, not necessarily to put big tires on the bike, but it stems from like wanting mud clearance. This bike can fit a 50 in the front, which is awesome. I love the ability to do that.
We've fit a 50 in here, but it's tight. Just so everybody doesn't get mad at me in the comments, the bike is rated for a 45.
Yeah, minor details.
Just want to make it clear what Allied says.
But then the rear is a 43 approved by Allied.
Yes, and
So this is my biggest complaint about this bike. It has this like really funky rear triangle.
We'll get into
Jesse
that.
can get into
Yeah.
why it looks like this because it's weird.
It's awesome.
But
I love it.
because of it, there's not much room there. Like, this is a 43. My fingers are not chunky, and there's no room.
Well, how big is this tire? Is this a 45? That's a 40. So this is a 40 Pirelli Centenario, and it fits fine. And just so we're full disclosure, I run 45s in mine. I don't have them right now. These are 42 Pathfinders, and it's tight, but it's not unreasonable. Definitely tight for modern gravel bike standards. Again, this bike is getting to be, how old? It's almost 4 or 5 years old now.
Going on 5 years old. So
Yeah.
Allied released this bike in 2019, and like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, they haven't redesigned it. And honestly, like when I got this bike last year, one of the first things that Jesse said when it came out of the box was that it does seem a little outdated. That's not necessarily something that I care about because tire clearance aside, I really like this bike.
Yeah, it doesn't ride outdated at all.
For me, this bike feels really fast. It feels very stable. The same time I got this bike, I also got my Trek Checkpoint, and this is the only bike that stuck around. I have had this bike longer than any other bike since we purchased the store.
This might be the longest you've ever had a bike.
Close to it.
It's getting close to it.
Since I started working at bike shops, even before we owned the store, this is probably one of getting close to like the longest I've had a bike. So it feels fast. I think it races great. I can take it on any sort of terrain, like any race that includes single track. I don't feel like I'm gonna die. It feels capable.
Whenever you first rode this bike, you had that, just so we're super clear, Chase literally got a Checkpoint SLR and this bike right around the same time. You were about to give birth, and so you kind of...
So I was so anxious to start, I was antsy, not anxious. I was very antsy to start riding again, because being pregnant was just not a fun time for me. And the Checkpoint kept getting pushed out. And so I had a total, this is ridiculous, but and I realized that, but I had a total crazy hormonal pregnant lady meltdown. It was like, oh my God, because for whatever reason, I thought I would be able to ride a bike immediately after I gave birth. I didn't get to
Yeah,
it,
that was...
It's fine, it happens. Some people can though. If that's you, congrats.
That's a whole other video you should make about your expectations and how social media kind of ramped you up into thinking you were gonna be racing bikes while pregnant.
Some women can. I'm jealous of them. I had a meltdown and panic ordered this bike, and honestly, it was the best decision ever. At some point, I'll do a full comparison of every gravel bike I've ridden because I've ridden a lot, and I own a lot of gravel bikes right now. I tend to collect gravel bikes. My thing, I really enjoy riding gravel, and yeah, it's just fun for me. So this bike has stayed around longer than anything else. I really love how it feels, but it's also started to turn into like not just a race bike for me. It's kind of started to turn into more of a commuter do-it-all bike.
The first thing you said to me about this bike versus the Checkpoint was how stable it was going downhill. This is been the de facto kid hauler. You've probably ridden just as many miles pulling the kids trailer as you have riding this bike without the kids trailer.
Honestly, this for me is truly a do-it-all bike. I do not see myself getting rid of this bike. At any point, I could see myself adding maybe some random racks, or we'll see what I add to it. But I do hook up the kid trailer to this bike. I have axles for damn near every bike I own to pull the baby, and this is the only bike I use. I think it goes back to the stability. It still feels fast. Cornering on it feels great. All around, I really like this bike.
Despite its clearly
Outdated.
outdated design.
I honestly, I don't mind that it's outdated. So many bike companies, in my opinion, every single time there's a release of a bike, everyone's trying to take it further and do, the next new cool thing. And I love that Ally didn't do that.
Well, they did, but it's just 5 years ago.
Exactly. But
5 years ago, this was the craziest thing to ever exist.
Yeah, but I got this 1 year ago, and they're still selling
Yeah,
this bike.
you got it right at the same time as some very
very new current
bikes.
And
No storage door.
that's a perk. I've mentioned this in multiple videos at this point. I hate storage doors. I genuinely, Jesse brought this up. He's laughing because he knows this gets me riled up. I ride small frames. I'm 5'3". I'm 5'4" on a good day when I'm wearing my platform sneakers or whatever. But storage doors are dumb. You can't fit anything in there. There are some awesome bags. I've got a Sodero bag on here. Go find a cool bag company. Put your in bags, not in the frame.
Support your local bag manufacturer instead of putting
Yes.
stuff in the frame. Buy a bag from an artisan bag
Funny
maker.
story, our friend Corbett lost a key in his frame storage. So he put his car key in there.
Yeah.
And we were in the parking lot, and Jesse and Corbett were just shaking the shit out of the bike. I mean, they had to take out the bottom bracket.
It fell all the way to the bottom, but that's a top fuel.
That is why you don't use frame storage. That's a win. That's an automatic win. But yeah, I'll let Jesse go ahead, and I can take the camera or something.
Yeah, we'll put mine on the
Maybe
stand and
gritty,
switch.
Different build. Jesse has only pulled our kid twice on his bike. I'm the stronger one.
Okay.
So he uses his for different. He's had a different opinion, different experience with his. Yeah, his is just different.
Yeah.
If you are interested in getting an Able for yourself or any components to build up your next bike, shop online at thebicyclestation.com. At the time of filming, we do have one medium Able frame set in stock, and purchase that online at thebicyclestation.com.
My bike, first of all, for everybody who's interested, Chase is on a size small frame, and how tall are you?
I'm 5'3" to 5'4".
I think that
Closer to 5'3".
that's important to say, just because I feel like a lot of women might be interested in the Able. Honestly, it seems like it's got a good standover height and all the kind of dimensions of a shorter person being able to fit on it. This bike was kind of extremely forward thinking for the time. Gravel bikes had a problem where they were trying to fit a big tire and also fit a skinny crank. See how it has a SRAM road crank with a really narrow Q factor? That is how Ally, the whole elevated chainstay thing was to achieve a reasonably big tire and also a narrow crank. As most people are probably aware of, nowadays you can have both without having to design a bike like this. Part of me is a little sad that something as cool as this is no longer necessary, because I just love the idea of, screw it, let's make a crazy looking bike that nobody's ever seen something like it before. And I really commend Ally for that. I think it really helped them kind of blow up and get them on the map with just a really interesting and unique design that is now totally, I'm thinking about what this bike could be whenever they decide to redesign it. The conclusion in my head is that they're gonna change the chainstay because they don't need to have it elevated anymore. But I kind of hope that they still figure out a way to keep the trademark look of this bike, because it just looks so good.
It's very distinct.
Yeah, I love the way it looks, because it's just dang, that's a interesting looking bike. It's kind of ironic because nowadays I'm actually using a wider crank on mine, and it is I'm deleting the whole reason for it to exist, which is, I think, is kind of funny. That doesn't stop me from enjoying the bike. The tire clearance, I have fit 45s in mine. I haven't fit them in Chase's, but I know a 45 will fit in my size medium able. I like this bike a lot, not as much as Chase. I don't have as many miles as Chase does on mine, but I do enjoy it. It's very much race focused. I think it's one Unbound on it the first year the bike came out, and I still think it's I actually don't understand why their pro racers don't use this bike more. I have owned an Echo and this bike, and I don't really feel like I'd rather have the little bit bigger tire clearance over the Echo's little bit speedier. Maybe I'm just, yeah, I would prefer this one. I genuinely do prefer this for myself over the Echo. It is got some weird things about it. This cable routing device, I don't know where this is supposed to sit, but I kind of wish that the hole was on this side, because then the cable would just sit around, but it always kind of like...
Just like flops up there.
Yeah, and actually I kind of like it up there because it's off the paint. Maybe I'll...
It looks a little funky, but I mean, you could just like clip it.
I should just clip it, but
like,
honestly, please just make me wireless brakes. I want wireless brakes so bad.
that sounds so sketchy. I would never.
It's coming. You know it's coming.
Yeah, that's like a death trap. No, thank you. Please up your life insurance before.
Anyway, the bike is very much race focused. It's stiff. It feels fast. I've ridden it a lot on the road just as my road bike. Kind of like not...
You're just not a gravel guy. Jesse repeatedly says that he doesn't like gravel. He's happier on mountain bikes. He has never truly liked a drop bar bike that he has owned. I'm outing you on this one.
I'm trying to be positive over here, and Chase is like... You know,
I'm trying to be real. I love my Able. Jesse literally just rebuilt this up like for the video.
That's not true. That's not true at all. I got a new bike fit and I'm giving it a chance again. I think it's a pretty...
He's anti-gravel bike though,
I
but...
think it's a very rigid gravel bike. And if you want a gravel bike that is very fast on the pedals and very stiff, I think this is an excellent option for that. I've thought to myself when I was riding it, like, oh, I need to lower my tire pressure. Think about that in your own way. Let me show you guys my favorite feature. My chain hits the frame, and that's not Allied's fault. That is my fault.
Would you look at that? What do you have to say for yourself, Jesse?
I have to say that I didn't want to buy a whole new power meter to downsize my chain ring 2 teeth to be within the manufacturer spec, so I didn't, and sometimes my chain hits my frame. This is a long-winded way of explaining to everybody that this has a max chainring size of 46. Keep that in mind whenever you're looking at this bike. I think it's just another reason that, like, again, this bike came out a long time ago, and the chainrings that gravel racers are running nowadays are big. Whenever this came out, it was different, and I also want to say at the same time, you cannot put a front derailleur on. We're not a big front derailleur family.
We don't believe in front derailleurs.
Because of it not having a front derailleur, that's why I have a 48, and actually I would even go bigger, but 48 seems fine. But you can't, because like I'm literally just hitting the frame. Luckily Allied put tape here. Allied's really great about putting
Frame protection.
Frame tape on their bikes. They're awesome at it. Honestly, Allied just makes awesome stuff, and I'm a huge fan.
He literally got this bike in the same exact Toyota smoked mesquite color as his truck.
Yeah, it's sick.
So they can do that if you want to match your truck too.
I think that they keep making better and better bikes. This was their first off-road bike, and since then made the BC40, which is like one of the best mountain bikes you can buy. So
you can buy your BC40 at thebicyclestation.com too. Got it all.
Yeah, we actually do have frames and stuff. This was Chase's review, and I'm gonna take the camera back, and those were just my tech nitpicks about this bike that are unfair because it's old, and I feel bad about nitpicking it about things that really didn't exist whenever this bike came out. So I'm just being honest about it. The bike doesn't deserve the criticism because it was so forward thinking at the time.
Like, I gotta go pick up our kid. But like I mentioned, this is one of my favorite gravel bikes that I've had. Jesse really kind of nailed it with the stiffness. For me, it doesn't feel slow. It feels capable, and I can do anything on it. Like, I mean, I can literally feel like I can go on an actual training ride while taking our kid with us.
That's like literally what you do.
And yeah, and it's what I do. Like, a lot of my workouts are trying to do intervals while pulling a kid trailer. I don't know if that's like a good thing or not. I'm not a coach.
It seems fine to me.
I think it's fine, but it's just a capable bike. This is my race bike. This is my commuter, my family bike. I love it. I'm a little nervous for when Allied decides to redesign it, honestly.
I'm not nervous because they've had just awesome, every
That's
bike
true.
they came out with after this was awesome. I just don't see a world where they actually keep the elevated chainstay. I mean, I have no information about what they're thinking or what it might do, but it doesn't like this design is no longer necessary to
Yeah.
achieve what they are looking to achieve.
I
And
do
so
realize it needs to be modern, but I am happy with how it is, and I still think it's a great bike. You know, you're not looking to go wild with parts like what Jessie is. If you're happier with slightly smaller tires, like that is, the tire clearance is literally my only complaint.
if you're not pushing your bike to the extreme of like running this big of a chainring or bigger than a 45 tire,
That's
and
awesome.
45 is the literal max, and I can attest to that I ride this bike with a 45 and it fits, but it's close. If you're not doing either of those things, then you should really consider this bike. I think that the ride quality is not outdated at all, and that is the most important thing whenever we're reviewing a bike. I think it's interesting to talk about how gravel bikes have evolved. I'm currently in a mental battle with the derailleur hanger. I have ridden enough transmission now that I struggle to go back to the old stuff.
On the flip side of it, I couldn't care less.
You will after a while.
Eh,
Yeah.
I'm simple. Yeah, so if you have any questions about the Able or
Reach out.
whatever, just let us know.
Yeah, we've ridden it a lot.
Yeah, you can call the shop and chat with us about it. Email us, whatever works. But yeah, I've got a ton of miles in on this thing, and I don't plan on getting rid of it. I'm just gonna keep rolling with it for the next year. So
I will say mine weighs like 18 pounds, and yours is probably 17 pounds.
mine definitely weighs more than Jesse's because he always sabotages my bikes, and my bikes always weigh more than his, even though they're smaller.
You have NSW wheels, so yours is definitely lighter than mine.
Meh.
Yeah. Look forward to our 353 versus 303 review coming soon.
Got a lot of opinions on this one.
Thanks for checking it out. Definitely check out thebicyclestation.com and hit us up if there's any bikes that you're interested in or looking to order. Definitely going into winter here, we're gonna have a ton of review videos coming out just because like we're kind of wrapping up
A year of riding.
a year of riding and stuff. So stay tuned for more reviews because I have a long list of stuff I have opinions about, and I want a bunch of new stuff for next year. Anyway, we'll see y'all in the next one.